So today's satsang we'll be discussing, we'll be sharing a few thoughts about how to worship or the best way to worship. And it is a fair question to ask. We want the best in everything, be it buying a car or even an insurance plan or an investment plan. We always seek out and see what is the best way, what works for us. And worshipping God also, we need to ask the same question, what works for us? And there are many ways to worship God. Worshipping God is an act of reverence. It helps us to express our love to Him so that it transforms this finite to the infinite. And being in India, there are hundreds of ways you can worship God. And there is a story which, for fun, they used to share when we were in school, especially. So, a devotee of Lord Ganesha always prays to Ganesha in a very transactional way. He would say, like, Ganesha, I offer you food every day. It's your responsibility to give me food every day. I will pray to you every day, so you have to take care of me. So Ganesha also was responding. Every time he asked for food, it was given. He asked for anything, it was given. And once when he was crossing a river in a boat, something happened to the boat and he started drowning. And he calls Ganesha, Ganesha, come save me. Ganesha appears, he will look at him and he will start dancing. He'll say, Ganesha, I'm drowning here, why are you dancing? Right? This is what you did to me. Every year you throw me into the river and you dance. Don't you remember that? Worship cannot be transactional. We invoke the infinite into a finite form called Ganesha, and then we offer him back to the infinite, just to remind ourselves that not to be bound with the finite form. In Autobiography, Paramhansa Yogananda, our Guru, writes, if a devotee worshipped through devotion, he sees God as the Divine Mother. To Jesus, he called God as Heavenly Father. God eventually appears to the persistent devotee in whatever form he holds dear. A devout Christian sees Jesus, a Hindu beholds Krishna, or the goddess Kali, or an expanding light if his worship takes an impersonal turn. So the form to which we worship doesn't matter. How we worship really matters. Tulsidas prayed to Rama and he was liberated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Krishna, Mirabai to Krishna, Ramakrishna Paramhansa to Kali. So it is not the form which determines the validity or how intense or how good your worship is. It's your own devotion in your heart. And the rituals also are varied in number. We can offer different prashads to different God, and accordingly we seek to please the God through those offerings. In the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Swami Kriyananda gives an examples of how Bengalis make a fuss about offering the red flower to Kali, a hibiscus flower to Kali, because that's her favorite. And he further also explains that the offering of a flower, it is just a symbol of your inward love. It does not complete your worship until you learn to offer yourself at the holy feet of the deity or in the form in which you are worshipping God. And Mirabai's poem, Paramhansa Yogananda, has shared an autobiography which summarizes this point. If by bathing daily God could be revealed, sooner would I be a whale in the deep. If by eating roots and fruits he could be known, gladly would I choose the form of a goat. If the counting of rosaries uncovered him, I would say my prayers on mammoth beats. If bowing before stone images unveiled him, a flinty mountain I would humbly worship. If by drinking milk the Lord could be imbibed, many calves and children would have known him. If abandoning one's wife would summon God, would not thousands be eunuchs? Mirabai knows that to find the Divine One, the only indispensable is love. So the love with which we offer, the love with which we worship is what matters, and that is the best way to worship. Fill our heart with their love and offer that love, offer ourselves at the holy feet of God. Now, when we worship and when we call on God, they do hear us. Paramhansa Yogananda says that pray to his listening presence right within you, around you, everywhere. And he starts the prayer like that in a very, very demanding, majestic form. He roars out loud. But we too do try that sometimes, but it doesn't work. Or at least to our mind, limited mind, it doesn't work. Mahavatar Babaji, after initiating Larry Mahashaya, he asked Larry Mahashaya to return to Banaras, and on the way in Moradabad, Larry Mahashaya shares his story, and then, as you might all know who have read Autobiography of Yogi, he says that his guru will appear in front, there in that very house if he calls. And now the other friends of him were interested and says, okay, call your guru, let us see him materialize here. And he calls. Babaji appears to Larry Mahashaya and he rebukes him. He says that, do you call me for a trifle, and let me go. Truth is for earnest seekers, not for people who fantasize about it. So let me go. Now that sentence caught my attention. He says, Mahavatar Babaji is a great avatar. Why does he need to tell his disciple Larry Mahashaya, let me go? Or when I or you, or I assume you too are in my situation, we call to Mahavatar Babaji, he doesn't materialize in form like he did to Larry Mahashaya. Why? And why does he say, let me go? And the answer, as guided by them, is, it is Larry Mahashaya's love which magnetized him and brought him here. So the best way to worship is there are two options, either magnetize them with our love, or if our magnet is weak, then we come together like this as satsang. And together we join our energies and call on God. Just like the song they sung right now. Join in prayer, we worship thee. Many drops make us see, thus our love when joined as one. My own love is not strong enough to call God and bring him here and now. But my love joined with all your love, each droplet, together will form that ocean of love, and that is why we feel his presence more vividly and more strongly here at Satsang and here when we come to Ananda. So the best way to worship, yes, with love and together. And where should we worship God? Where? Outward in a stone image, which form? That's all right. But as yogis, our job is to express God's love and express God, or to tune in, to worship God within us, ourselves. Paramhansa Yogananda says, spine and brain are the altars of God. Yes, we have a beautiful altar. We offer ourselves by decorating it. We enjoy. But we always should remember that our spine, our brain is the altar where God can manifest through us as peace, as love, as joy. And call on to him with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. And when you worship him in the form you hold most dear, He will respond. And if clarity is what you need at this point of time, call on Goddess wisdom. If you are anxious, if you are not peaceful, call to Him as peaceful. What you need, ask Him. Ask and you shall be given. And that's a story a small joke which I read. A professor who loved knowledge and who loved wisdom, he once he shot a question across his class of students that if Goddess Saraswati appears here, what would you ask her? And one student said like ₹1,000,000. And the teacher was a bit upset. He said, really? You will ask that to Goddess Saraswati? I would ask for wisdom. I would ask for knowledge. And the student says that, sir, जिसके पास जो नहीं है वही मांगते हैं sir. So, what you want, ask for it. Meditate. Oh, I am not feeling joyful is the right time when we need to meditate on joy. And I'll end with this prayer which Paramhansa Yogananda has given. Worship of God as sacred joy found in meditation. O Father, from joy I came, for joy I live. In joy will I melt again. You are sacred perennial joy. You are the joy I seek. You are the everlasting joy of soul. Teach me to worship you through the joy born of meditation. Balance my worship with good action, and teach me to shun all false pleasures which siren-like call me through my misguided senses. Thank you.
Those of you who are regular in Sunday Satsang might have noticed that I was away for a few weeks. I went my home country, Japan, and that's why I wasn't around. And I want to share a few things from that trip in relation to today's topic, the best way to worship. The purpose of the trip to Japan this time was twofold. One is personal, just to meet my family once a year. And the other one was for the work of Ananda. Nayaswami Asha, who you might have met when she came in January, she's on a world tour to share Yoganandaji's teachings in many countries across the world, and Japan happened to be one of them. So we were there, and she did many talks in Tokyo. But Ananda is very, very, very new over there. Just about a year ago, I started offering online meditation courses, and that was the very first program for Japan, for Ananda. And this Asha's talks and lectures was the first in-person program that Ananda has ever organized in Japan. So I wasn't sure, we were not sure what the response will be. And yet still we put a big master's face in the ads which we circulated on Facebook and Instagram. The result was amazing. Not only that the classes were full day after day, but the kind of people who came. Many of them, majority of them, have read Autobiography of a Yogi. There's a Japanese translation. And that's pretty much the only book available of Master. And yet they came because they saw Master's face. And one woman, what she said was very symbolic. She said, I read the book many years ago. I really felt close to him, but I had no one to talk to about him, about his teachings. So I've been talking to him in my heart silently. And imagine that she doesn't have access to this kind of satsang or classes or books, and yet clearly she was a devotee, she was a disciple. And yes, I am very grateful that we have this place to get together. I'm not saying we don't need it, but this, meeting these people reminded me of what is really important and what we have to nurture. We cannot take this for granted and depend on the environment or this physical place to uplift us. The form is, we often think the form is the reality, but those of us who are here and follow Master's teachings would know that that is not true. That is a result. The form is a result of our energy. Our energy is a result of our thoughts. Our thoughts are a result of consciousness. So we want to nourish, we want to cultivate our consciousness, our energy, our thoughts, so that by any chance we happen not to have this kind of place, but still we will not forget that love and the worship for God. One of the title of one of the classes that Asha did was Living in Harmony. Many of you might have the impression that Japan is a harmonious country, or people in Japan are harmonious, which is true to some extent. But then, thinking about this class, about the title, made me think that really, is that this harmony that I see, is this a true harmony, or is it achieved by people suppressing what they want or who they are? And it happens to everyone, wherever you are. You try to create harmony in your life by maybe sacrificing your own need or your own desire so that it looks harmonious on the surface. But we also know that it's not sustainable. At some point, the frustration builds up. And so I was curious what she would say. And she started the class by saying, to be harmonious with others, we first need to be harmonious with ourselves. To be harmonious with others, we need to be harmonious with ourselves first. Not with our own ego, or, of likes and dislikes, but to be harmonious with our soul's nature, the divine that is within us, the love or joy or peace that we have deep inside in our soul. Swami Kriyananda says in The New Path, that's his autobiography, there's this line that he says, I learned to make inner peace my bottom line. So this sentence stayed with me and comes back now and then whenever I feel that I am being pushed or, a little in the confusion. And I ask myself, is this, should I push back so that I can maintain my inner peace? Is this the time? And we have to really ask ourselves or be honest ourselves that, am I saying this because my ego is reacting, that I don't like it? I'm being hurt. That's why I'm pushing back. Or is it really? Or even if you feel uncomfortable, how do we know that God is giving this certain test so that we can grow, we can stretch ourselves a little more and grow spiritually? The only way we can know this, the answer, is by talking to God, by inner communion, by listening for His inner guidance, listening or trying to attune to His will. Is this His will that I push back, or I stretch myself a little bit more? A few days ago, I had a conversation with some of the Guru Bhais, and one of them, we were essentially asking about this, discussing about this topic. One of them said he likes to meditate for long hours. So he was asking, if I'm able to meditate 12 hours a day continuously, that will take me, that has the high chance of taking me to Samadhi, isn't it? Like, maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe yes for him, but maybe not for me. We don't know. Meaning, everyone has a different way to reach God, to connect to God. But as Hari was also saying, whatever the form is, whatever the ways are, our love takes us to Him, to her. That much we know. And I want to end by reading a paragraph from The Essence of Self-Realization. These are the words by Yogananda ji. He says, "The Divine Mother is busy with her housework of creation. The baby devotee cries, and she gives him a toy to play with, riches perhaps, or name or fame. If he cries again, she gives him another toy. But if the baby throws everything away and cries for her love alone, she picks him up at last and whispers to him lovingly, 'If you really want only me and not my gifts, then come, be with me forever on my lap of infinity.'"